Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Dobson 777A here. Okay, I'm going to spoil you again tonight. I have a number of charts that we're going to put together. One of the first things we're going to cover, because everybody's like, oh my God, gold's already in the death cross. What are we going to do? So let's cover this and see if we agree. 4 days ago, a lot of articles started talking about a death cross appears imminent in gold. And a lot of people may not know what a death cross is. I'm going to explain it here and then I'm going to show you on a chart. But basically, you've got a 50-day moving average, and that's a short-term trend, and then you have a 200-day moving average. And when the 50-day crosses the 200-day moving average, that's indicating a death cross. So let's see what the chart looks like. So I've done this for 1 year. I think it's 1 year. And so this is the 50-day moving average. And then this is the 200-day moving average. And you'll notice that this is coming here. And by the way, on this day, this is when I told everybody, when we look at the other chart, let me flip it over to this. This is the longer view. I said every time we've come and hit the 50-week moving average, we bounced off of that. And it's typically a low that's occurred. And so we had a point right here where this had occurred here. We had another one here. And now we've had one here recently. So when we look at this recently, what happened since we said that? Well, guess what? We've had 2 good days of jumps here, including after hours. We're having a continued increase. And so from the bottom of this right here, we were at 1793 and we're up to 1835 right now for gold. Now, I wanted to explain this particular curve here where it comes and gets closer and closer and closer but doesn't touch. There's a technical word for that, asymptote. I think it's, hold on. Let me click on it.
Asymptote.
Oh, asymptote. I knew I was saying it wrong. All right, asymptote. So this is an asymptote, and it was funny. They actually talked about this in Longmire, so it took me a while to try to remember what the term was, but I think we're actually looking at an asymptote here, and it's more than likely we're going to see this thing start curving back up, and then this is going to continue on its direction. But we're about ready to see a change here, just like we saw in 2019. I think we're going to see this thing start taking off, and that's what this next chart is. I keep telling you this looks like a pennant to me, and we keep trying to find a lower low, but we've hit this point here, and I think we're going to bounce off of this, and I'm expecting this to take off like crazy, especially with the trillions of dollars that are being generated out of thin air. And I posted something on the community tab that we really haven't seen that money get into the system yet, but it's about ready to be released. So look out inflation and look out precious metals prices. So I wanted to show a chart. This is, again, looking back at, I guess, to September 2018. Excuse me. And this is gold right here. You can see that silver has shot up past this point and is going. Gold is lagging. The S&P is yellow. It's lagging, but look at what's happening in platinum. Platinum's starting to take off here. So we'll see. But right now, S&P is still lagging everything from that point when I started telling everybody we should be looking at these metals. And I'm not even showing miners on here. Miners have done tremendously well since that time. I did find an article that on Zero Hedge that had a dollar chart, and you can see that the dollar is kind of, I don't want to say collapsing, but it's correcting down, and it broke through this trend line that had happened. So that's why we're seeing the precious metals start to take off. And the longer term views of the dollar is kind of a downward trend. So that's why we're playing what we're playing and sticking with tangible assets, folks, because they hold their value when we move into, loss of purchasing power, either through the dollar or inflation or whatever. And this is showing you something that I think is looking great. So I'm hoping that a couple days ago, Friday, for the members, I put out a report and I said, I think we found a bottom, folks. Remember, I'm fully invested, so I'm not buying anything else, but I told anybody else this would be a good time to get in, and lo and behold, it looks like it's working out that way. So I hope that you're taking advantage of these signals. On Saturday, I gave the signal to subscribers. So members, you get data sooner than the subscribers. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. One of the things that I think has made this channel successful, besides having such loyal followers, but I tend to engage people on other channels when I see things that are just being spouted as facts but not putting any context, and I try to provide some context and just give some critical thinking. So some of the things that I've been doing, engaging a little bit more lately, some of my time is becoming more available. I kind of went silent a little bit for a while, but I'm starting to get back out there again. And a lot of these are things that those who have been following me for a long time have heard these answers before, but I think I've got sometimes some improved answers. So let me run through a couple. So I'm not going to list the person's name because I'm never trying to embarrass anybody. I'm just trying to have a conversation. So this person wrote, silver is found spread out in the Earth's crust, and that's why we get silver as a bonus in a lot of mines. He's talking about the fact that, as I pointed out, 70 to 80% of silver is mined as a byproduct. They're actually looking for lead, silver, lead, zinc, copper, that kind of thing, and silver comes along for the ride. The question is, how much more silver economically if demand doubles? What will the price be with the doubling of demand for technology and a very few silver-only mines to increase supply? So one of the things that people forget, and it's because I've done this analysis for like platinum and palladium. I've explained how platinum and palladium swap places over and over again in industry, and it's because one will get out of whack for for price, and it becomes not cost effective anymore, and so they'll switch to the other metal, and they play the game like about every 10 years they'll switch from one to the other. But recently they came up with this tri-metal catalyst, which is hopefully going to solve that problem for the future. But here's what my answer was. Silver is not nearly as necessary as you think. As silver increases dramatically, most investors will sell their investments, collapsing the price. Secondly, the price of products manufactured with silver will increase substantially, driving down demand of some products. Thirdly, engineers will be forced to find a less expensive alternative for silver, further collapsing demand. It is called a death spiral. Silver repeats this pattern over and over again. In fact, we see similar things with gold. If you remember the last bull market, we had gold shops on every corner, and they said, bring your gold, all your broken jewelry, and turn it in for cash, and people did. And all of those things, scrap is a big process where it gets fed back into the stream and ends up like another form of mining, and it will completely change the trajectory of the price. It'll, especially with silver, that's why silver collapses. So then he also wrote $1.9 trillion are growing on a tree, and that's just a start. The silver dollar ratio went from 1,100 per ounce in your silver myths and lies video to 4,800 per ounce on the debt clock today, and is estimated to be 12,000 in 4 years. It sure seems crazy. But I will also always point out that that clock is starting from the point in time when silver was monetized. It is not monetized. It's not in our change anymore. We have zinc and steel in our change, and therefore it's just not going to, you can't compare apples to apples at that point. So those are a couple of the comments that I've had here recently, and I just wanted to show you that I'm still out there working this with people, trying to enlighten them, and I hope that covers it. Now, I wanted to spend a couple minutes because this was on January 14th. I've been holding this in reserve, but I don't know, there's this terminology called doomers or gloomers, and I worked in the high-tech field. I mean, a lot of stuff we worked on, we would consider it like Star Trek type level. Amazing technology that we worked on as a military contractor. And I just saw the complexity of what was happening with the world, and I saw the difficulty it is to sustain this, especially with the poor education that we're providing folks these days, and especially so few people want to go to trade schools. They're all just doing, they think they're all going to go to college and be managers instead of people got to be able to know how to fix stuff. And I look at this as being kind of unsustainable. So a lot of what I've been doing on this channel, not only is a hedge for inflation, but a hedge for a disintegrating society, especially where we've spent ourselves into submission. So this article is really interesting, and it talks about so many things that, and I've done some chalk, we'll just say old school talks with you, and I said, look, I see things coming in the future where society's going to break down. We may be civil war, but it also may be, and this was before we had COVID. I thought there could be pandemics because that had happened in the past. Maunder minimum, and I said we could be going into like they talk about climate change, little ice age, which was the Maunder minimum, and then food scarcity is going to be an issue, and you need to kind of hedge all these positions. It doesn't matter if you have gold and silver. If the stuff is not available, you may not be able to buy it. So you're going to have to try to develop what you can. And this channel has been hugely focused on everything that you can do to try to be as self-sufficient as possible. It's very difficult unless you got a community to be self-sufficient 100%. But as far as just trying to make it with, food, I think I've done a pretty good job with that. And I've also kind of mitigated energy to some extent. I'm going to tell you right now, I've got one of my tenants has a fairly large house, and his electric bill is like $360, both December and January electric bills. You know what my electric bill was? $120. And that's in the middle of winter, but I'm burning wood, so I'm not burning the electricity to heat my house. And during the summer, it's kind of similar. So I've mitigated and controlled my costs so that I'm not, paying it out to the electric companies. It's kind of keeping the money in my pocket. It's a little more work, but at the same time, how many people go to gyms to try to keep healthy? I go out here, I cut up my wood, I split it, I stack it. I got to unstack it to put it on the racks by the house, and then I got to put it in the wood stoves, and it's several times a day. So, anyways, it's something for you to do, and it can save you a significant amount of money. And it gives you, like I said, really something to do. Like all the gardening and everything is keeps you busy, keeps your mind sharp. You got to learn how to do this stuff. And I forgot to do some videos, but I'm hatching some eggs again. So I've got some chicks that are potentially going to be hatching over the next couple days, and I'll try to get you some videos of that. So start my next batch because my chickens are now probably over 2 years old now. A lot of you remember when I had hatched those. So anyways, these are the days of just continuing on. I've got a process, and I'm continuing to refine my process. And I'm just so happy that I have people to share with, and I hope you're taking advantage of what I'm learning and are doing as well. But I think we're exactly where we want to be. We're not putting all our eggs in one basket. And the bottom line is really just doing the best you can. That's really all I'm trying to do, and that's all I ask you to do. It's just continue to, we used to call it at work, continuous improvement. So each time you just try to get better and better, practice, practice, practice. That's the way it works. And so that's it for the report. I hope everybody's treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless. All right, go potty. We gonna go bye-bye? Are we gonna go bye-bye? Here we go bye-bye. Yeah. We gonna go bye-bye? Yeah, all right. You going to get in the car? We're not quite ready. I'm almost ready. You almost ready? Okay.